Hi, Grand Rising. I always like to take a moment just to look at everybody. Ah, okay, so the theme for 2024 is a Grand Rising. The theme for August is unstatus quo. And the topic for today is the impact of othering. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us we are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. And Sarah Schulman offers the way out of the illusion. Nothing disrupts dehumanization more quickly than inviting someone over, looking into their eyes, hearing their voice, and listening. So let's affirm together. I step into action to create an inclusive world. Okay, and now I'm going to include Reverend Dr. Kathleen. Good answer. Does everybody want to transcend the status quo patterns of us versus them? Everybody ready to do that? Okay, this is what you do. You forgive your enemies because it messes with their minds. Just to mess with their minds? No. So, the theme this month is a really powerful one. It really is about addressing those topics that are often avoided in spiritual communities. So challenging topics with the opportunity to move beyond the patterns of status quo and into something new and different. So when we operate in the status quo, what do we miss? We miss the opportunity to experience more beauty, more grace, more growth, more inner growth. And that's what happens when we move beyond the status quo. More growth, more beauty, more grace, more good. So this month is about transcending the status quo through willingness. I'm going to emphasize that willingness. It's really powerful. The willingness to embrace our oneness, the idea that the human family on our planet is truly our family. We are all in this together. And the willingness to face the mental blocks to experiencing oneness and love. That's what it's all about, right? Getting all that stuff out of the way so that we can truly live from that place that we desire. So, Ernest Holmes says, in universal mind, there is only wholeness, oneness, and eternity. So our fundamental belief in oneness, the oneness of all, challenges the tendency toward othering. I'm going to be talking more about what that means in just a moment. But othering other individuals or groups. And so today I'm going to be addressing what is othering, why do we other, and how we transcend othering. Okay? It's kind of very logical sequence. So what is othering? I'm going to ask Dan to put a cartoon up on the because I think cartoons are always a fun way to look at the definition of things. Stop othering me. What's othering? Your kind could never understand. All right, you got it? So the term othering is treating other groups or individuals as either inferior or as threatening. That's what the us versus them is all about, because they're a threat. But also just treating others as inferior based on perceived differences. And we can just imagine, I'm sure your minds are going right now, the detriments of having that, coming from that perspective. Social divisions, political divisions, discrimination, exclusion, dehumanization of people, and othering also leads to a lack of empathy and understanding between diverse groups. And think about it, the us versus them, it can be anything from a fight between people of opposing sides on a soccer team, all the way to a war. Othering creates that kind of thing, the wars in the Middle East, the war between Russia and Ukraine, the wars that take place in Africa, different places on the planet. This phenomenon that has been called othering, it's been brought to a lot of attention, is something that we not only want to understand the impact of it, because it also, here's some other things that it does, demonizes immigrants, creates divisiveness in our political parties, and suffering of those who feel unwelcome and judged. So why do we other? Why do we other? It's a tendency of humanity to make sense of the world. It's a natural tendency, a natural part of being human. It's the way our ancestors survived, when they gathered in groups and there was this other group over there who might come and, take their stuff and whatever. So it's built into the human psyche. It's part of that survival mechanism. And yet, in this day and age, we have come to a place where we have the intelligence, the wisdom, the foresight to rise above that and to bring forward a new consciousness for humanity. So perceiving others as different tends to do this. Here's some other, why do we do it? It reinforces the superiority of our beliefs over someone else's beliefs. And that's why I don't have it up here today, but I do, yes I do, because I have it here, is that we use the oneness symbol as well as the science of mind symbol, because the oneness symbol reminds us that we are all in this together. And it also reminds us to not disparage other religious beliefs, but to understand there are many paths to the one. So that is the ideal that we strive for in this spiritual teaching. So rather than us versus them, it's like, well, this is what we believe, and we honor what you have chosen as well. And we honor what others, and we also, what I really love too, is we look for the patterns of spiritual truth, that golden thread that runs through all of the different spiritual traditions. So the bottom line is, othering is rooted in fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of being wrong, the fear of being out of control, the fear of those who are different from us. So how do we transcend it? So I bet you all have some ideas, right? How do we transcend it? So the opposite of othering, in other words, it's a willingness to embrace oneness, which in that state of oneness there is unconditional love, to consider all people as our human family, and yet spouting spiritual principle is not enough. And that's what has happened at times in spiritual communities of our type is we're really great at spouting all of these wonderful spiritual truths, but that when it comes to action, sometimes we're not aware. We're just, it's unconscious, just not aware of ways in which we may be othering people. So thanks to our social justice initiative, the ministry that Virgie leads, and Candace has been a support as the leader champion. A lot of this is being brought forward, and Virgie, I'm so grateful for all the things you put in the newsletter that continue to open our hearts to other perspectives and to honor various things that are going on in the world today. So I really appreciate that, because you just continue to help to expand us. So that's why it's important to read the newsletter, even if you just, read what Virgie offers each week when she puts things out. Great opportunities to expand our hearts and move beyond othering, transcend othering. So using action, the election intention is meant to do that, is action in consciousness, because that's where it starts. The action begins in consciousness to shift our perspective, to start noticing the subtle ways in which we other that we're not even realizing, and help us to move into that higher frequency, because then we hold that vision of heaven on earth, a world that works for all as a result. And so rather than judging other people who other, so we don't even want to do that. We don't want to judge people who other. Go, oh, you're othering. When we do that, what have we learned about judging? I've been bringing it up, and I know we've been talking about it a lot in the Busting Loose class. When we judge, it's a glue that holds the pattern that we don't want in place. So let's take a breath. So let's be consciously aware and begin taking greater notice of the patterns of unconscious bias. It might be unconscious, but then, like I've noticed sometimes words come out of my mouth and I go, oh, there's some bias there. There's particularly when it comes to politics, I've really had to watch myself. Oh, when I do that, that's othering. So I think that the model of that is we can have preferences politically, right? But in the process, we don't need to put the others down, call them names and stuff like that. It's just understanding there are preferences. Let's breathe. So by doing this, by being aware of our unconscious biases, in other words, our othering thoughts and actions, we have an opportunity to truly be a part of the solution. Watch it. How many of you are watching the Olympics? Yeah. Great examples of people who are beyond the othering thing, instead practicing unconditional love. Dan brought to my attention that while it was laudable with Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei, who won the men's 10,000 meter final Olympic record in record time, he got the gold medal. The American Grant Fisher took bronze, which was a huge thing because since 1964 there's only been one other person who's even gotten a medal in that particular event. So those were really laudable, wonderful things. But what was just as important, if not maybe more important, is the way they all acted when the race was over, embracing each other. People who didn't even win, embracing those who won the medals. It was really beautiful. And I know it's not just this particular event, but it's other events too, where you see, like even the swimmers, they'll swim underneath the dividers to go and hug each other. Hug the winners and congratulate the winners. And also just the attitude of, rather than, oh man, I didn't do it, I didn't make it, that kind of attitude. There's a dignity that I see in so many of them, when they don't accomplish what they want to accomplish, there's still this dignity and grace that is so beautifully modeled. And we were just kind of fooling around here out in a circle, and it came to mind to me that we are all in the cosmic Olympics. Right? Aren't we? We're all in the cosmic Olympics. We are all here with a purpose. We all are here with all of the love and possibility and potentiality within us to rise as gold medalists in our own lives and what we bring to the planet. So let's stand up and claim our gold medal now. Put your hands up, okay? Do we have any Olympic music? Duh. Sharon, sing some Olympic music. We're claiming our gold. Da 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 da. I love that. Thank you for playing with me. Unconditional love. That's what it's ultimately all about. Seeing the divine in others. Everyone is our human family. And yes, we can have our preferences and vote for who we want and that kind of thing. But let's take the high watch and be the ones who still meet people from different perspectives with love and compassion. So in the Gospel of Thomas 22, verses 4 and 7, it says, when you make the two one, and when you make the inner as the outer, and the outer, the inner as the outer, and the outer as the inner, the above as the below, then you will enter the kingdom. What is the kingdom? What is he talking about here? Self-realization, unconditional love. It's that kingdom of heaven within that Jesus talked about. The kingdom of heaven within. And so as spiritual beings, we can transcend this thing called othering, another word for separation, and create an environment of inclusivity where everyone feels welcomed. Transcending othering requires more than just theoretical discussions of science of mind. It demands a commitment to self-reflection. Where is it that I might be othering? And a commitment to unconditional love. So what I'm going to do to end us up is to ask you to yawn and stretch. And notice, what steps have I taken or will I take to eliminate bias and to transcend othering? So turn to somebody next to you and start your conversation. It can be 2 or 3 people, if you know. Awareness is like expanded at this point. Opportunities for action, inner action, outer action. Beautiful. I still see somebody talking back there, and it's my daughter. They had a very deep discussion, I could tell. All right, my friends. So just giving thanks for the beauty, the grace, the wonder, and the glory of the divine that resides within us, and with a deep understanding that as individualizations of the Most High, we are gold medal winners in the Cosmic Olympics. Just so grateful for our willingness to show up, our willingness to grow, expand, and unfold, our willingness to truly be the light bearers of unconditional love on our planet. And for